When we meditate, not only do we forget about our problems, but they often solve themselves. It happens without us realizing, as we are too used to be subjected to our life instead of living it and see what happens. Through this path, I'd like to help you become more conscious about what's going on in your life and the reasons why such situations happen. I won't be the answer to your questions, but I'll teach you how to develop your mental abilities, which enable each of us to obtain those answers to our own questions. I won't personally answer your questions, but I'll teach you how to train those mental abilities that enable each of us to get their own answers. The best way to approach meditation and to fit it into your personal routine is feeling inside of you the reason why you want to meditate. Obviously, at the beginning, it won't be easy as you might not immediately understand it. You would know deep inside of you that you'd like to start meditating, but without being able to explain why. Hence, you would end up thinking it's just a waste of time. So at the beginning, you should take it as an habit, something you decide to do even when you don't feel like it, just like when you decide to work out to feel good. At first, it's not your desire. You don't wake up in the morning excited to go running or to go to the gym. In fact, you feel sluggish. Somehow, you need to force yourself, as you know that if you want to lose weight or lead a healthier life, making your body stronger, you need to make that effort. You know you don't want to be weak and ill at a young age, so you set some rules for yourself, like for instance, running or going to the gym twice a week, even if you don't feel like it, because you want to achieve those targets you've set for yourself. Sometimes meditation may seem boring and tiring, just like those first attempts of running or doing physical activity, when it's hard and you want to quit. Every day, you will look for 1,000 reasons not to go to the gym, pretending like you don't really care about it and quitting only because of your laziness. Actually, you were the one who subscribed, you were the one who made that decision, no one forced you. Deep down inside, you know that your body will benefit from physical activity, and this will bring you positive results in the long run. For example, protecting you from those physical diseases that most people have to face already at a young age, suffering from them for all their lives. This is why, even if a little bit annoyed, eventually you decide to go running or to work out at the gym, as you know you're doing it for your own good. Working out on a regular basis is not that simple. Not because physical activity is too difficult, but because it's very hard to always keep your motivation high, pushing yourself to work out. Lots of people start practicing and end up quitting after a few months, or even the day after, even though they really like that particular sport. This happens because of their laziness. They don't feel like exercising. Even though it might be boring at the beginning, it would make them achieve amazing results. This laziness comes from the lack of motivation. You forget the reason why you started working out in the first place. Telling yourself, I want to exercise because I don't want to gain weight and get sick is useless, as it's just a sentence without any emotions. They're just empty words with no meaning. The key is taking these words and deciding to truly feel them inside of you. All of us know they're true, but we decide to think of these words abstractly, with no feeling implied, almost as if they weren't real. Most people think that motivation must come spontaneously, right away, as if it was a duty of the sport itself to motivate you and make you practice. It's not how it works. Motivation must come from your own decision. You decide to exercise and you decide to motivate yourself as you want to achieve some goals. Indeed, you won't get up early in the morning spontaneously thinking, wow, I'm so happy I'm waking up this early to go running. But you will think instead, oh my, today again? Come on, I have to do this. I need to go running. I'm doing it to stay strong and healthy even in the future, when my body will start to surrender. So, at the beginning, We can't expect our motivation to come automatically. Forget it, it just won't happen. We need to be our own motivators, and we have to push ourselves to take some actions for our own good. It doesn't have to be someone else to wake us up early in the morning and encourage us to exercise, but it's us who must say to ourselves, "Come on, get up. You have to do this. Don't waste your time in bed. It's better to do it now than spending the rest of your life suffering because you didn't do it." Only when you make your practice a good habit after some time, which is different for everyone, you will begin to realize how good you've actually been feeling since you started. Hence, finding your own motivation that will push you every day not to quit. If at first you needed to force yourself to get started, later you will be motivated and unstoppable, as you will have reached a certain level of wellness that you'd never known before starting your practice. This will motivate you to keep up without that stress you used to experience every day before you started practicing. The point is that wellness comes after practice, not before. Good reasons to practice come after you've already started doing it, as improvement will follow. Thinking that improvement must come even before starting to practice and push us to take the first step is a silly, delusional belief, as no practice will bring you results even before starting it, only to help you decide if you should start or not. It's like believing that your boss should pay his employees for their job before they start working, to encourage them to do their best. We all know that we get paid at the end of the month to reward the work we've already done, and not before starting in order to make us work the following month. Likewise, even in sports, as in any other practice, improvement comes only after a long training and not before, so even motivation will come later. At the beginning, you need to force yourself to exercise if you're determined to achieve some goals. Otherwise, you wouldn't make it. For every choice, your state of mind is crucial when you decide to exercise. If every single time you'd complain despite knowing inside of you that you're doing it for your own good, and you keep on exercising as you were doing it to please someone else, then you wouldn't learn anything, and even if you could lose weight and improve your health, you'd keep complaining and being sluggish. It's up to you to decide how to approach physical activity. It doesn't depend on how much your body would benefit from it, nor on how useful it is, but it depends on the way you start practicing. Indeed, that sport could be the best, the most useful, and the most functional of all sports, but if you decide to practice it idly, it will always be boring for you. You have to remember that if you decided to subscribe to the gym, you didn't do it to please your trainer, who felt alone and needed your support, but you did it for yourself, so you're not pleasing anyone else but you. Since you've decided to start a sporting pathway, try not to abandon all your good intentions, but hold tight to them with the same motivation you had on day one. The state of mind you begin to practice with is very important, because if you decide to study music, choosing a difficult musical instrument, you might even take lessons every day, but if you do it slackly, you won't be able to learn anything despite all the lessons, while the other students will always get better at playing that instrument. This doesn't mean they have better learning skills than yours, nor that the music you play doesn't work. It means you must learn how to better approach the projects you choose to begin. If you keep following that path with a strong will to learn, you will realize that even if your teacher asks you to repeat the same musical exercises over and over again, which might seem very boring, those exercises are actually building you up, and they allow you to learn about the tools that one day will lead you to become a good musician. It's very important to choose the right approach to the path you're taking. Meditation is like a sport for your mind, so it's not easy to immediately sit down every day in a semi-lotus position and meditate with a strong will and confidence. But if you decide to take this path in the right way, it will certainly lead you to achieve amazing results for your mind and for your life. When you sit down to start your meditation session, try to do it with a strong desire to relax and therefore reach your well-being. Do not just sit down thinking you have to do it without a real motivation, as it would be just like going to the gym to please your trainer. Focus on meditation for what it really is, a tool that will make you feel good mentally and spiritually. Your initial approach is very important, since it will determine whether you manage to achieve good results with your practice or if you'll get stuck on the same level. It's like when they say that to obtain something, you have to believe in it. Of course, if you're the first one who doesn't believe you can relax, meditation would certainly force you to do it. You are the one who must decide to positively approach relaxation, persuading yourself you can do it. You don't have to move any mountains in your thought. You're not asked to take up an impossible mission, so complicated that only few people in the world can do it. You just have to relax. It's that simple. Starting meditation by the first basic step, which is relaxation, you will allow your mind to reach higher levels that unfortunately you wouldn't be able to reach without it. Even though a lot of people think that relaxing during their practice is not such an important step, which can be overlooked, it is actually a crucial moment, as without it, we wouldn't be able to live a lot of evolutionary experiences we are looking for. When you start meditating, try to really feel inside of you the desire of finally feeling at peace. Detach everything that happened during the day, all the stress you suffered during the day, and the pain you experienced while someone else was saying or doing something bad to you. Let go of everything and start your meditation with the strong decision and will to feel good. Your purpose is indeed finding peace, so you need to stop beating around the bush and allow yourself to open up to this vibration. You can feel inside a very strong connection to something you can't immediately define, but you know it's something very positive, very bright, and it makes you feel good. I don't want to call it superior self or God, as in both cases I would trigger your expectations, or rather your idea of God, which might not be the right one. So I'm not asking you to think about what you should feel. I'm asking you to experience that peace you can only reach through meditation, and just focus on it, leaving out all the rest, as it doesn't matter how you call it. What really matters is just the wellness it makes you feel. You feel that inner peace, which allows you to let go of the day you've had and just relax, somehow not caring about what happened, and starting to feel calm again. It's your personal shelter, where no one can make you feel bad, because you decide to feel good. Hold on to that feeling even when your meditation session is over. Don't let that feeling fade after meditating, as your goal is to feel good all the time. Always carry that sense of confidence and safety with you, a sense of peace you've created through meditation. Feel deeply loved, as during meditation you connect to the purest vibrations, those very high energies that truly love you. It doesn't matter what happened before. Now it's only you and your deep connection. Remember and cherish this extremely important feeling, as it will be your salvation when you're sad and you don't know how to solve your problems. Take some time for yourself, relax, breathe, and connect to this super bright light, which is beautiful and peaceful. Feel how you get rid of your problems, becoming free. This is the only way you can approach them, preserving your freedom and calm, and finally solve them. What really matters is your state of mind, and meditation helps you improve it, becoming more lucid, more peaceful, stopping your problems from drowning you, ruling you, and making you unconscious and unable to make the right decisions. Don't read my words too quickly. First of all, try to understand them. Try them in your personal life, because you need to feel good. this is why you're here. You want to feel complete. You want to feel capable of deciding for your life without any pain nor suffering. You need to feel alive and understand that your life is actually yours. It doesn't belong to someone else who's living it in your shoes. After all, we are used to not feeling well, and we think that feeling good is too much to ask, and it's a big fortune that only a few experience. It's only us who decide to feel good or bad. We keep letting ourselves get overwhelmed with errands, problems, and sufferings that people or events around us create and cause. But we can choose to detach all of it. Everyone tries to make us forget we can decide for ourselves, but the choice is up to us. We can choose to feel happy and detached from what happens around us in order to live our lives far from what the others and the society want us to feel and from how they want us to live. We can feel conscious of our life and truly live it, not just like robots stuck in their routines. We can succeed, modify our point of view, and change our lives, since we are humans and we are able to change. It's in our nature, and we shall not bury our greatest ability. Even if, at first, it might seem hard to regularly practice meditation because of the law, which will find every possible excuse to prevent us from sitting down and meditating, with a constant practice, you'll realize that your life will improve so much you get always more and more motivated to keep up. It will become a positive sequence. At first, you need to decide to get it started. It will all depend on you. Whether you want to notice the improvements or, in spite of the presence, you choose to be lazy and neglect your practice anyway, forgetting who you really are. What really counts in all your meditations is not how good you are at it, but your intention. That is the will you put into every single session. A lot of people believe they meditate, but they don't, as they sit down in half lotus and try to impose something which may not be forced. Evolution is first of all mental, and you reach it meditating consciously. Sitting down in half lotus, becoming conscious of what you're about to do, will help you evolving much more quickly. If you're focused on what you are doing and you can motivate yourself to get certain results, everything will be easier. This is my advice. Before starting to meditate and at the end of every session, you should take at least 1 or 2 minutes to become conscious of what you're choosing to do. Finishing your meditation session, opening your eyes and doing some low actions straight away will drag our conscience down on a lower level again, and it will happen too quickly, as unconsciously we'll decide to get immediately back to our low frequency. If you let your mind realize you've finished your meditation and that shortly you'll have to run some low errands, it will be so much easier for you to stay conscious even when you go through the same routine. Finishing your meditation and getting up quickly to start some low activities without even realizing what's going on is a program we need to delete from our habits, as it's extremely important to act consciously, doing everything well aware of what we are doing. The point is, you should be aware that what you are doing might turn down your conscience. You can't ask yourself to be conscious 24/7, but you can choose to stay at least a little higher than the average. It's inevitable that, after meditating, you need to go to work, clean your house, do the shopping, and everything your daily routine requires you to do. But you can choose to do those things consciously, instead of switching from meditation to a low activity without even realizing there was a bit of time between them, during which you became almost completely unconscious. The secret is deciding to do the shopping or anything else, filling that gap between meditation and the errands with the consciousness of what you're about to do. This way, it's normal you will soon lose conscience and you will find yourself carrying out your low duties, almost forgetting you have meditated. But this is not as serious as losing conscience all of a sudden without notice. It's a matter of mental training that will allow you to be more conscious in your everyday life as this is the very purpose of each technique, staying conscious and lucid even when your practice is over. So I suggest you to take a minute right after finishing the technique to make your mind realize that meditation is over and you should get up and go doing something else. This way, instead of losing conscious all of a sudden, you will allow your energy to stabilize and realize it is about to decrease. But thanks to this consciousness, it will reduce much less. Somehow, it's as if you were warned you'd be punched. Hence, you'd prepare yourself, locking your core, so that the impact of the punch wouldn't hurt you. They didn't tell you you'd be hit in your stomach, so you couldn't block the punch. However, since you knew it would happen, you were ready to take it without feeling too much pain. But if you hadn't realized that punch was coming and it hit you out of the blue, the pain would have been much more intense, making you fall down on your knees. This metaphor is meant to make you understand how the law works, or rather, the lowering of your conscience. If you allow your mind to realize you're about to lower, the fall will be much less painful for your conscience. But if you fell instead all of a sudden into the low frequency, your mind, not receiving any warning, would be dragged into unconsciousness, slowing down your evolution. This small action might speed up your ability of staying conscious a lot and making it last longer. Obviously, there are so many levels of consciousness, so you will always have the chance to improve, and this is a great step to start with. As it's useful to be conscious about the end of the session, it's just as useful to be conscious about the beginning of each meditation. Knowing what you're doing will allow you to do it better and to reduce the incessant flow of thoughts that usually bothers you during your practice. This isn't easy, especially because we decide to meditate mostly when we are tired or sad to gain a little bit of charge. And in these situations, it's hard to be conscious. But it's not a problem, because meditation will give us consciousness, and this is actually why we decide to practice it. However, luckily, we don't decide to meditate only when we're sad, but even when we are happy and healthy, as we know the benefits it gives us, since we've already got the first results, which encouraged our desire to go on with our practice. This is why we should try more often to begin our meditation conscious of what we are about to do. Indeed, when we decide to start a meditation session, we decided instantly, and in a second we find ourselves sitting in half lotus with our fingers placed on our chakra. Between the decision to meditate and meditation itself, there is an instant we can fulfill with the conscience of what we are about to do. In this little time, we have the chance to prepare mentally and realize we are about to sit down and relax, to feel that physical and mental wellness provided by meditation. Before sitting down comfortably, we need to realize and thus perfectly understand we are not just about to sit, but we're about to meditate, so we want to reach a much higher target. You will realize that by mentally preparing yourself this way, you will already reach a meditative state even before meditating. This will be super useful to relax much sooner than when you sit down without a conviction of meditating. Once again, we can notice how important is the intention we put into the actions we do. Indeed, meditating with a strong intention to reach higher levels will make us feel a stronger consciousness than those who just sit down without taking this important step. This consciousness will be useful all day long, as it will stay within us, and the more we nurture it and ask it to stay alert during the day, the more we'll be able to be lucid with every decision we make, especially with those who might seem trivial but are actually life-changing. This exercise won't require an extreme effort, as it's not about sitting down and meditating longer. It simply consists in filling up the moment between your decision to meditate and the actual meditation session with consciousness and preparation. It's a bit like foreseeing you're about to meditate and decide you need to do it in the best possible way. Don't expect all of this to be too easy, but try sometimes, and then always more often, until it turns into a habit, but don't make it an action without any feelings implied, otherwise it would be useless. What really matters is the emotion, the intention you feel. Just like when you decide to practice a sport, if you go running already thinking of the moment you go back home because you don't feel like it, rest assured you will run less, more slowly and with much less resistance. But if you decide to really commit instead, even if you don't feel like it, overcoming your obstacle and giving yourself the right motivation to start, when you go back home, you won't be disappointed at all. If anything, it will feel like time went by much faster than you expected. The same happens with meditation. When you decide to meditate, even if you don't really feel like sitting down to do it, try to get motivated, pushing yourself to practice anyway. This way, at the end of the session, you will realize it lasted more shortly than you expected, and it wasn't that bad after all. In fact, you could have meditated without worrying that much. On the contrary, if you meditate without motivation, each session will always feel too long and might bore you. So the key is not the technique itself, but how you decide to approach it. If you want to practice it, you know you have to do it, as it will provide you with the inner wellness you need. And when you don't feel like it, push yourself not to give up. Get motivated, find that feeling, and bring it back to the surface, so that it can push you to meditate well, even though everything is trying to prevent you from having this experience. Besides, remember that a good relaxation is reached by deeply breathing the bright energy inside of you. This step is key, as without the white energy, it's much more difficult to relax and thus reach a good state of mind to practice any spiritual technique. Since wellness comes from energy, if you skip this step, it will be much harder to find your inner peace and connect to the light dimensions. So learn how to motivate yourself to improve, deciding and encouraging yourself to go on, reaching a higher step each time, instead of always walking straight ahead on the same level, thinking it's good anyway. Growth is something you choose to pursue. Never take it for granted. By choosing to improve and to reach always higher levels in your meditation, you will notice how, lo and behold, many situations in your life will get solved as you keep up with your good practice. Keep your eyes open and you will realize all of this. Enjoy your meditation. If you like this article, leave a comment here below describing the feelings you experienced while reading or practicing the proposed technique.